to Armed Biological Area 223 Command. Personnel are not to engage suspected instances and should retreat immediately. The Foundation currently has 7 instances of SCP-1788-1 imprisoned in Armed Biological Area 223. Contact with these instances is strictly forbidden outside of approved experiments. Each instance is to be housed in a separate humanoid containment cell. Feeding and cleaning requirements are laid out in Document 1788 CF. No more SCP-1788-1 instances are required for current research purposes. Any newly discovered instances of SCP-1788-1 are preemptively cleared by O5 Command for immediate termination by Armed Mobile Task Force Tau-4. All things bright and dutiful. Description: SCP-1788 is a process, treatment, or other means of biological transformation. A prepubescent human being subjected to SCP-1788 becomes an instance of SCP-1788-1. Currently, the creators or discoverers of SCP-1788 is unknown. Groups of interest are being investigated. Finding the origin of SCP-1788 is considered a Sindri-level priority. On reaching adulthood, SCP-1788-1 instances display predatory behavior towards prepubescent humans. Typically, they will settle in a large urban center, find a form of white-collar employment, then begin tracking prepubescents in the area. Approximately once every 6 months, an SCP-1788-1 instance will attempt to abduct one of the prepubescents it has been tracking and take them to a remote or otherwise unobserved location, where it is subjected to the SCP-1788 process and turned into an instance of SCP-1788-1. Little information has been gathered from captured instances of SCP-1788-1. Instances are of above-average intelligence and show extremely strong resistance to compulsion, coercion, torture, and other forms of information extraction. Every instance to date has also shown signs of malignant narcissism and psychopathy. They generally have a complete lack of empathy, while also showing keen psychological insight. For these reasons, among others, unauthorized contact with SCP-1788-1 instances is strictly forbidden. Individual instances generally do not voluntarily gather or interact, except for the purposes of mating. In fact, when 2 or more instances are placed in the same environment, they typically fight for dominance. This behavior is not gender-linked. Females and males will fight one another in addition to their own genders, and in a mixed-gender group, there will only be one dominant individual, who may be male or female. Captured instances are housed separately to minimize damage. Multiple instances have been seen in the same general urban area, but never in a ratio greater than 1 in 100,000 normal humans. Mating season apparently occurs annually, but is not seasonally linked. Instances in some environments have been observed mating in the summer, while other instances have been observed mating in winter months. SCP-1788-1 instances will exclusively mate with one another. They have no apparent sexual attraction to normal humans. Gestation period for SCP-1788-1 instances is approximately 40 weeks, roughly the same as humans. Their offspring are genetically indistinguishable from normal humans and are not considered anomalous. However, as they are prime candidates for undergoing the SCP-1788 process, their capture or termination is to be considered high priority, second only to the termination of SCP-1788-1 instances. SCP-1788-1 Anatomy. It is extremely difficult to distinguish an instance of SCP-1788-1 from a normal adult human, even on close inspection. Individuals show variation as expected from gender and ethnicity, but share certain characteristics in common. SCP-1788-1 individuals appear to be obese, within the range of 150 to 200 kilograms when fully grown. SCP-1788-1 instances have larger than average eyes, though not enough to appear abnormal on casual inspection. Their sweat contains high levels of potassium and copper, though still within the normal range for an adult human. Though externally normal, their internal anatomy has been extensively changed. SCP-1788-1 instances' long bones and cranium have been reinforced with several heavy metals, and their muscle fibers have been interwoven with structures resembling carbon nanotubes. This gives them durability, strength, and speed well above the human baseline. See Document 1788-1-DX for measurements and estimates. Level 3 clearance is required. SCP-1788-1 instances possess backup organs and systems for most of their body's vital processes. For example, they have a secondary heart lower in the torso, which can work in tandem with the primary heart to more efficiently circulate blood, or can function independently as necessary. Certain blood vessels have complex valve structures, allowing instances to close off blood flow to damaged limbs and other areas to prevent excessive blood loss. Other organ systems also have 2 or 3 redundant backups that can take over in the event of the failure of the primary organs. SCP-1788-1 instances also possess a secondary brain located in the upper torso and protected by its own skeletal structure, similar in construction to the rib cage. Currently, the exact function of this brain is unknown. It is known that this brain can continue to function even in the event of the destruction of the primary brain, as demonstrated by Incident 1788-XR-12. The final difference in the gross anatomy is the appearance of a second pair of arms, located directly below the main pair. These have apparently equal strength and dexterity to the upper pair, and SCP-1788-1 instances are apparently capable of using all 4 arms simultaneously. When not actively hunting, instances hold the lower pair folded closely to their sides, where they are largely concealed by natural bulk. When hidden in this manner, it is virtually impossible to distinguish a clothed instance of SCP-1788-1 from a normal, obese human, except on close inspection. This is interview log SCP-1788-1-863. Playing log now.
Please state your name for the record. The driver's license and other materials on your person identify you as. Is that your name?
That's my child name. I don't need to know.
Then I'll refer to you as 863.
Call me what you like. Just don't call me late for supper.
You were found by your agents outside an elementary school, and documents in your car and apartment include multiple photographs of children taken without their knowledge. Are you a pedophile, 863?
You sick. I'll tell you. You're the pervert.
If you're not a pedophile, 863, then why are you observing children?
You think they're children? I can't believe we came for you.
Explain what you mean by that, 863.
That's what I mean. You think you can hurt me with that? need companionship. We don't live like you in herds. Each one of us knows what we need to do, and each of us is capable of it.
And what do you want us to do?
Grow up. Or die.
Okay, that about does it for today. Thank you all for listening, if indeed you still are, and you were all dismissed. Goodbye. I would like to give a special thank you to Andre Bichert, Pierce M. Hamlin, Muslim Rookie, Jax Merrick, Caleb Bowen, Slump God, John O. Porter, Captain Gorge, Tyver Ball, Cody Tench, Cheese Whip, Dips McGee, and Dr. Mortis. Thank you all so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. If you would like a special thank you at the end of each of my videos, and some other cool stuff as well, go to patreon.com/The Vulcan. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-1991. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1991 is to be stored in a 5-meter cubed containment chamber within Site-19's biological specimen. Due to the specimen's behavior, a locked door is considered to be all that is required to prevent escape. SCP-1991 is to be fed 3 kilograms of cooked and pulped beef daily. Water is to be provided via a trough, which is to be kept refilled constantly. Containment cell is to be cleaned weekly by D-Class personnel. Description: SCP-1991 is a 2-meter-long quadruped mammalian creature of unknown species, enhanced by the implantation of cybernetic compounds. Both implanted compounds and creature show signs of damage consistent with extreme age, poorly healed puncture wounds, bullets of assorted calibers embedded underneath the skin, burns comparable to those produced by industrial cutting lasers, and starvation. SCP-1991 appears to have suffered psychological damage as a result of physical abuse or trauma, displaying extreme fear of loud noises, rapid movements, and aggression, or seeming aggression by personnel. SCP-1991's body core is roughly humanoid, with elongated limbs of equal length. All limbs end in hands similar to those of a large primate, apart from the presence of elongated claws. The head resembles a mummified canine skull with elongated incisor teeth. Skin resembles decayed leather, with matted fur growing from it, primarily around the ankles and back of the neck. SCP-1991 lacks a tail. When recovered, SCP-1991 displayed traits of starvation, including enlarged gut and enunciated limbs. Proper feeding while in containment has been shown to cure said traits. Cybernetics consist of a mechanical collar, implantation of unidentified structure into right forelimb, sharpened steel blades replacing teeth and claws of forelimbs, as well as system alterations of unknown usage. Collar consists of a metal disc embedded into the front of the neck, possessing a small speaker array, non-functional due to bullet damage. 6 video cameras, 2 of which have broken lenses, and a complex network of fibers apparently serving as a linkage or control to its central nervous system, non-functional due to the non-functional nature of linkage between its nervous system and the camera network on the shield. SCP-1991 appears to be blind. The right forelimb structure consists of a pair of miniature mechanical clamps and an extending rotary metal rod, similar to the triggering equipment of remotely operated firearms. It is assumed that the clamps were intended to serve as the mounting system for such a weapon. Behavioral Test Log 1991-1. Tests of SCP-1991 behavior in regards to positive stimuli. Supervisor, Dr. Stimulus, Dr. saying hello in a normal and calm voice. Effect upon subject. SCP-1991 having huddled in the furthest corner of the containment chamber upon Dr. entry, emerged hesitantly and licked Dr. outstretched hand. Supervisor, Dr. Stimulus. SCP-1991 petted on top of the head by Dr. Effect upon subject. SCP-1991 emitted a gurgling noise assumed to be a sign of pleasure. Supervisor, Dr. Stimulus. SCP-1991 given common canine chew toy shaped like a teddy bear. Effect upon subject. SCP-1991 prodded toy with a forepaw, causing it to squeak. SCP-1991 proceeded to emit whimpering noise and huddle against the farthest wall of the containment chamber until the chew toy was removed. Behavioral Test Log 1991-2. Tests of SCP-1991 behavior in regards to negative stimuli. Supervisor, Agent. Stimulus, Agent saying hello in a raised and aggressive voice. Effect upon subject. SCP-1991 proceeded to rapidly move to the furthest edge of the chamber from Agent and attempted to curl into a ball. Supervisor, Agent. Stimulus, Agent clapping hands in front of SCP-1991. Effect upon subject. SCP-1991 whimpered and attempted to cover head with forepaws. Supervisor, Agent. Stimulus, gunshot from starter pistol into the air outside containment chamber. Effect upon subject. SCP-1991 urinated on the floor of the containment chamber and huddled, twitching on the opposite side of chamber from the door until ending of the test. History. SCP-1991 was recovered by Foundation agents in following reports of a monster scavenging from dumpsters in a small town and cover story regarding vagrants planted. Okay. I think that about does it for today. Thank you all for listening, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye. I would like to give a special thank you to Slump God, Justin Day, John O. Porter, Fluffy, Pierce M. Hamlin, White Crew, Beware 600, my archive curator Nick, Tyver Ball, Cody Tench, Cheese Whip, Dips McGee, and Oblong Douchebag. If you would like a special thank you at the end of each of my videos, and some other cool stuff as well, visit patreon.com/theVulgan. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and today is going to be a different kind of lecture. Anything you glean from it cannot be written down or discussed, starting now. We're going to be studying an SCP today, and so you understand the exact number I'm referring to, I'm going to send it in Morse code. Understand? Good. So, today, I'm gonna tell you a story. You can connect the dots for yourself. I can't tell you anything beyond this, so don't bother asking. You all ready? Okay. Also, I'm gonna be using background music. Alright. Once upon a time, in the magical land of Foundaria, there was a little boy called Tiberius who lived in a castle. Tiberius was a bit of an outcast. He was very tall and didn't look like other little boys. His arms were huge and always seemed to be covered in sticky slime, and he could also magically walk through the walls of the castle. As a result of this, he mostly just hid away in his room and never wanted to come out. But there were some things that would pique his attention. You see, Tiberius was a very curious boy. Anytime anyone spoke or wrote about him, he would come and visit them, and sometimes invite them back to his room so they could find out more about him. But only the rulers of the land and the people on the 4th floor of the castle even knew about Tiberius. Nobody else was deemed important enough. So, time went on, and the king grew curious. In secret, the king ordered the people on the 4th floor to find out more about Tiberius. They gathered 2 domestic servants and sent them to the cellar and ordered them to perform simple tasks to find out more about their friend, Tiberius. The first servant, David, was given a piece of parchment and asked to write down what he saw on the wall next to him, which happened to be a drawing of Tiberius. Midway through writing, David heard something behind him. He turned around and was shocked to see Tiberius standing right in front of him. Tiberius looked happy that someone was writing about him. So much so that he grabbed the piece of parchment, and as quick as he grabbed it, he disappeared, presumably right back to his room. David was scared, as he'd never seen anything quite like that before, and had to visit the castle apothecary to receive a memory-erasing potion. Because of this task, the king knew that he couldn't let anyone else see this drawing, because not everyone would want Tiberius stealing their parchments. The second servant, Damien, had a slightly different task than David. He was to look at the same picture, but instead of writing down what he saw, he was ordered to talk about it out loud, just like before. Midway through speaking, before Damien even got a chance to turn around, Tiberius magically appeared, grabbed Damien, and with a giggle and a smile, vanished, taking Damien with him, presumably back to his room. After this task, it is rumored that Damien went to live with Tiberius because no one ever saw him again. This was the last test that the king would ever ask anyone to participate in, because the king loved his people and didn't want them all moving to Tiberius's room and never coming back. In the end, it seemed like Tiberius was just lonely and wanted some friends, and after the king's tasks, it seemed he had a friend. But now, the tasks had been completed. The king knew everything he needed to know. All the drawings and parchments describing Tiberius were hidden away in the castle library, and he was never mentioned in the kingdom of Foundaria ever again. Okay, the story's over. You now know what you're supposed to know. I'm gonna say this one more time. Do not talk about what you think you know, or write about it. Although, I suspect if you really understood this story, you would. Thank you all for listening, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye. Oh, by the way, you have homework. I want to see some drawings next time you come in here of what we just talked about, okay? Thank you. Okay, go away. I'm done. I would like to give a special thank you to Desmond Haskins, Dustin Koski, Alan Setzer, Premier Rumanov, Tyver Ball, and Dr. Mortis. Thank you all so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. If you would like a special thank you at the end of each of my videos, and some other cool stuff as well, visit patreon.com/thevulcan. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-2020. Object Class, Euclid Exequi. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2020 is kept in a Type 4 humanoid containment cell at Site-17. Standard amenities and precautions associated with T4HCC are in place. Dietary Supplement 2020-9, consisting of 1.4 kilograms of used shredded paper, is to be provided daily. SCP-2020's cell is to be monitored for any unusual activity, with all vocalizations transcribed. 128 grams of tissue samples from SCP-2020 are kept at Subsite Bio-17. Access to SCP-2020 or its biological samples are to be approved by the head of SCP-2020's research team. Description: SCP-2020 is a sapient humanoid entity, approximately 2.2 meters in height and 70 kilograms in mass. SCP-2020 possesses unusually long and thin limbs, as well as facial features commonly associated with gray aliens. See file photo. And bright green coloration. SCP-2020's body is composed primarily of a novel form of natural rubber that appears to serve skeletal, muscular, circulatory, and endocrine functions. SCP-2020's digestive system and nutritional requirements are consistent with its diet, which consists entirely of paper and water. SCP-2020 has not shown any signs of growth or aging since recovery. Further study of SCP-2020's biology has been hindered by the rubber's toughness and resistance to tearing, which renders standard methodologies ineffective, as well as its dissimilarity to terrestrial biology. SCP-2020 claims to originate from a technologically advanced extraterrestrial civilization, but will make wildly different claims regarding the nature and location of this civilization when questioned. Given the circumstances of SCP-2020's recovery, see document Belenkin-Roswell 2020, this avenue of research is nonetheless considered viable. SCP-2020's behavior suggests that it shares many psychological similarities with humans, such as the ability to learn, a desire for interaction, and partial understanding of social norms. It is fluent in English and responds to the names Artie, Bobby, and Izzy. It is not engaged in hostile behavior and appears indifferent to its own containment. SCP-2020 will frequently attempt to engage personnel in conversations regarding its desire to write science fiction and numerous ideas it has for science fiction stories. It has thus far failed to produce any actual writing, citing an inability to choose a concept. See attached transcript for details. Addendum. Excerpt from Interview 2021 ASO. SCP-2020 was permitted to speak to researcher King on any topic it wished.
No,
No, wait, guys. I have an idea. A better idea. There's this facility, right? It was made by someone at some time in the past to bring the whole world back from the apocalypse. Like, something could blow a big hole in the earth, and the facility went, game over, play again, why slash it? That hole could just be the Marianas Trench, because the facility can do pretty much anything, with physics and technology, I think. Cliché, right? I don't really know how exactly this fits into a story or anything, but I mean, it could be the setting, I think. I guess I can think. Guys, I had another idea. Forget that one. This one is a brain in a jar. There's a guy. Cliché, right? But like, the idea here is that I just run with it. Crazy, nutty professor type. Nutty inventions that don't work. Complete nonsense. But it's all working, guys. The guy and his inventions could be like a superhero or something. The germy vacuum. The vacuum brain in a jar with germs. That sounds wrong. I'll think of something. It's okay though, because I just got this awesome idea. There's a wizard. Wait for it. From space. A space wizard. Guys, that's not the only part though. He's a cyborg. And he's with five cat girls. And guess where the twist is? That's right. The cat girls, also cyborgs. And they fight crime. Cliché, right? I mean, but it's not. Because they're fighting space crime. Crime in space. Does that make sense, guys? The story would be about them being cyborgs and fighting crime. Actually, no, because I just got a better idea. Wait, it's an AI, right? An artificial intelligence on a computer. Cliché, right? Well, it makes simulations of the perfect world for that person, and then it eats their brains. Guys, but maybe it's not actually doing that. And I guess the characters don't know for sure that it's actually doing that because we can't see inside it. But here's a plot twist though. It then puts a fake brain in them and makes the bodies convince other people to go into the simulation. It's a horror story, or a sci-fi horror story. Science horror story. Wait, guys, here's another idea for you. I just got this idea. There's a time machine, right? And it sends people to the future and then back to the present. And in the future, everyone dies from an asteroid. I mean, not everyone, just enough people that it's like everyone. Cliché, right? Well, the main characters, or I guess it could be the villains, or villain protagonists, they're trying to make sure that the future happens. Guys, that's because every time they try to look at another future, that future is even worse because it involves actually everyone dying. Except for one time where it's like a who wants to live forever deal. I don't know what the actual story is, but I'll think of something. Okay, wait. But seriously, better idea. Guys, there's this alien, right? Like they have in the movies, with the green skin and the black eyes and everything. Cliché, right? But wait. And for whatever reason, I'll think of that later, it really wants to become a science fiction writer, but it can't stop coming up with ideas long enough to do it. And the twist, here's the twist, is that it's talking to some people. And they're from a government agency that already has all the things it's talking about. And they're like, how does it know this stuff? And does it even know it's all real? Right? Wait. 2 words. Just 2 words. Laser butt disease. Wait, guys. That was actually 3. That was 3 words. This is going to be a lot harder than I thought.
Alright. I think that about does it for today. Thank you all for listening, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye. I would like to give a special thank you to Andre Bichert, Pierce M. Hamlin, Muslim Wookie, Jax Merrick, Caleb Bowen, Slump God, John O. Porter, Captain Gorge, Tyver Ball, Cody Tench, Cheese Whip, Dips McGee, and Dr. Mortis. Thank you all so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. If you would like a special thank you at the end of each of my videos, and some other cool stuff as well, go to patreon.com/TheVulcan. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Researcher Miller, and the SCP we're going to be studying today is SCP-3063. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Newly discovered SCP-3063 manifestations are to be reported immediately, and destroyed as soon as possible by whatever means are appropriate. All Foundation buildings and the residences of all Foundation personnel are to be equipped with the most effective insect control measures available. At no point should personnel ever interact with or acknowledge SCP-3063 manifestations outside of immediately destroying said manifestation. Any Foundation personnel or civilian individuals known or suspected to have made an agreement with SCP-3063 are to be immediately contained in the nearest Foundation facility equipped with appropriate containment facilities until the event of said individual's death. Once the affected individual has died, their remains are to be incinerated, along with any organisms that may have emerged from them during their containment. Individuals affected by SCP-3063 do not require food or other external attention, and under no circumstances are they to be removed from containment while alive. If affected individuals are unable to be contained for any reason, every effort should be made by Foundation operatives to kill said individuals before the event of their natural death. If this is possible, or if affected individuals are not discovered until their deaths, Mobile Task Force Beta 5 is to enact Procedure 18 ISLIP. Description: SCP-3063 is a telepathic Class 5 reality-bending entity. SCP-3063 invariably manifests as a physiologically non-anomalous adult male housefly, Musca domestica. It is currently believed that only one manifestation of SCP-3063 exists at any given time, but this has yet to be confirmed. Manifestations are to be considered destroyed when they have sustained damage that would be sufficient to kill a non-anomalous housefly, after which SCP-3063 will manifest elsewhere on Earth. No manifestation event has been observed as of yet, and it is not currently known whether SCP-3063 manifests as an entirely new individual housefly or simply inhabits the body of an existing housefly. All SCP-3063 manifestations operate with a single goal, namely, making an agreement with an individual. The terms of such agreement vary greatly, but almost always involve SCP-3063 promising an individual any single thing they greatly desire in exchange for an unspecified price. Such offers have included large sums of money, the love of other individuals, political power, and reality-bending ability. It is hypothesized that SCP-3063 reads the thoughts of its target to tailor an offer specific to them. SCP-3063 refuses to discuss anything other than the terms of its agreement. If an individual accepts the terms of agreement, the SCP-3063 manifestation will immediately combust and die, at which point the individual will receive what they were promised. If an individual does not accept, SCP-3063 will continue to attempt to tempt them with larger and larger offers until either the individual accepts or the manifestation is destroyed. If the SCP-3063 manifestation is destroyed, Successive manifestations will continue to contact the individual until they consent to this agreement. After a period of 2,376 days from the moment an agreement with SCP-3063 is made, affected individuals will undergo a process as detailed. Fertilized eggs representing virtually all known species of the order Diptera will spontaneously appear within the lungs, throat, stomach, intestines, sinuses, ear canals, rectum, urethra, and muscle tissues of an affected individual. The number of such eggs typically ranges from 5,000 to 20,000. The eggs will hatch naturally, and the resulting maggots will begin consuming tissues of the affected individuals for between 3 and 14 days in order to escape the body. When this period has elapsed, the maggots will pupate and lie dormant. Within 2 to 6 days, pupae will emerge as adult imago flies. Newly emerged flies will continue consuming their host and breeding with each other until the host has sustained sufficient damage and dies. This typically takes between 1 and 5 weeks and has been known to produce upwards of 50 million individual flies. When the affected individual has died, the remaining flies will cease reproducing and enter a stage of dormancy, during which they will eventually starve and die. A new manifestation of SCP-3063 will appear shortly after the death of the affected individual. Affected individuals will remain conscious for almost the entirety of this process, resulting in great distress. Roughly 70% of affected individuals will attempt suicide during this process. Flies generated during this process have been determined to be entirely non-anomalous. If the affected individual dies during any point in this process, or during the preceding 2,376 days, the process will stop and the flies will die. No known method of averting this process other than the death of the individual has been discovered. To date, 6 Foundation personnel have been contacted by SCP-3063, and attempts have been made to alter the terms of agreement to entrap SCP-3063 into neutralizing itself, though none have met with success. The following is a partial test log of such attempts. Test log SCP-3063. Test 3063-1. Tester: Senior Researcher Elizabeth Gao. Parameters: the death of SCP-3063. Result: SCP-3063 manifestation combusts. Eggs manifest within Dr. Gao 2,376 days after testing. Interpretation: SCP-3063 apparently interprets its death as the death of a manifestation. Test 3063-2. Tester: Senior Researcher David Roberts. Parameters: the permanent containment of SCP-3063. Result: SCP-3063 manifestation ceases moving and is determined to have died. The dead instance is contained within a secure containment unit below Site-63. After 2,376 days, Diptera eggs manifest inside Senior Researcher Roberts' body. 3 months after his death, another SCP-3063 instance is confirmed. Interpretation: again, such terms of agreement seem to extend only to SCP-3063's current manifestation. Test 3063-3. Tester: Dr. Caroline Fairweather. Parameters: a permanent cessation of all activities of SCP-3063. Results: results identical to those of Test 3063-1. Interpretation: it is becoming clear that permanent, in the context of SCP-3063, only extends for the 2,376 days prior to the death of the individual. Test number 3063-4. Tester: Senior Researcher William Marlowe. Parameters: knowledge of the true nature of SCP-3063. Result: SCP-3063 combusts. A printed copy of this document, without test log, appears before Senior Researcher Marlowe. process proceeds as normal. Interpretation. Assuming SCP-3063 does not cheat those it makes an agreement with, this document is considered to be accurate and true. Test number 3063-5. Tester, Dr. Patrick McGann. Parameters. Clear, understandable knowledge of SCP-3063, other than knowledge currently possessed by the SCP Foundation. Result. SCP-3063 combusts. Results of this test and the following test appear printed before Dr. McGann, who proceeds to kill himself by puncturing his carotid artery with a pen. Interpretation. SCP-3063 either possesses precognisant abilities or is able to directly affect future events. Test number 3063-6. Tester, Dr. Jonathan Mabry. Parameters. Is there even a choice? Result. Dr. Mabry experiences a severe pulmonary embolism and later dies en route to the medical center. SCP-3063 combusts. Interpretation. See test number 3063-5. Any personnel contacted by SCP-3063 are expected to report the event and then use the opportunity to continue neutralization efforts. SCP-3063 is believed to have been in operation for at least 4,000 years, as the earliest known records of entities and events matching SCP-3063's description have been discovered in early Canaanite settlements. Assuming an approximately constant rate of activity, this equates to approximately 615 agreements made. It is entirely possible that SCP-3063 has been in operation for considerably longer, and Foundation archaeological teams are currently searching for earlier recordings of events that would indicate as such. Procedure ISLIP-18. In the event of the death of uncontained individuals due to SCP-3063's effects, Mobile Task Force Beta-5 is to mobilize and administer said individual with 90 grams of cypermethrin. Additional cypermethrin is to be sprayed within a 10-meter radius of the affected individual. After the individual and any regenerated flies have died, remains are to be incinerated. Any civilian witnesses are to be given a regimen of Class A amnestics, and the area is to be closed to civilians for no less than 30 days under the pretense of a non-specific toxic spill. Okay, that about does it today. Thank you very much for listening. You are all dismissed. Goodbye. I would like to give a special thank you to Andre Bechert. Thank you very much, Andre. Your pledge is very much appreciated. If you would like to know how you can get a personalized thank you at the end of each of my videos, as well as some other really cool stuff as well, go to patreon.com/TheVulcan. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Researcher Miller, and the SCP we're going to be studying today is SCP-1678. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1678 remains only partially contained. Mobile Task Forces Tau-4 and Epsilon-6 have succeeded in establishing a defense perimeter around the Hyde Park district of SCP-1678, with cases of SCP-1678-A largely ceasing their attacks on the perimeter of the Foundation-held area. A long-term research base is currently under construction, and Mobile Task Force commanders are preparing an assault on the SCP-1678 Natural History Museum with the intent of capturing a forward command post to direct defense efforts. Current short-term aims involve the capture of an extension of the defensible perimeter to the SCP-1678 Natural History Museum, and to research and ascertain the origins, construction, and weaknesses of the SCP-1678-A entities. Long-term aims involve efforts to halt, hinder, or control the production of SCP-1678-A entities, and to assault the SCP-1678 Houses of Parliament, where the being, entity, or intelligence responsible for the creation of SCP-1678 is believed to reside, and to capture and contain the aforementioned being. Description: SCP-1678 is a full-scale mirror image reconstruction of the British city of London, located exactly 1 kilometer underneath the original city of London. Currently, only the Hyde Park district of SCP-1678 has been explored, but all buildings, at least within the explored district, correlate exactly to their surface counterparts in terms of location, as well as the exterior size and shape, although rarely in terms of architecture, building material, and interior layout. The city has been constructed to resemble the city as it was in the Victorian era, with constructions designed to resemble traditional gas lighting prevalent on the streets, and with all modern buildings in the original city of London being represented in a Victorian style of architecture, most notably the skyscrapers of the business district. Illumination is infrequent and unreliable, and it is unknown how SCP-1678 has acquired a steady oxygen and gas supply. SCP-1678 is believed to have been constructed instantaneously by unknown means, with the SCP-1678 Houses of Parliament serving as the epicenter for the construction process. This is evidenced by the fact that as distance from the Houses of Parliament increase, there is an exponentially increasing frequency of flaws in the construction of SCP-1678, such as houses built entirely out of copper pipes or other unconventional materials. Gas lights being little more than a metal rod topped with a floating orb of light, buildings containing no floors, and at the furthest explored distance from the epicenter, no windows or doors. Aside from the Foundation occupants and cases of SCP-1678-A, B, and C, SCP-1678 is believed to be uninhabited. SCP-1678 is believed to have been constructed with the intent to harbor the survivors of an XK-class end-of-the-world event. This is evidenced by an audio recording that will activate and play upon any person entering the city. The following is SCP-1678 audio recording. Entrance to On London.
My fellow citizen, if you are hearing this tape, then the world as we knew it has finished. The sky has broken, the ground heaves with the tramp of terrible feet, and all the horror and madness from the dark corners of the world has broken free to exact its vengeance on the world of man. Those who sought to contain them are killed or scattered, and we soon learned that to attempt to fight these creatures is almost invariably to face one's death. Countless billions have been slaughtered in their attempt to sate their endless appetite for death. And there is nothing, was nothing we could do to stop them. Evil has raised its bloody flag upon all nations of the world and crowned its unholy victory to the broken sky. Yes, this is the end. But there is a new hope. Welcome to On London, a city of survivors, a city of the free. Together, fellow citizens, we will wait and prepare for the new beginning, the grand new world that is soon to come. Let the world above burn. We will endure. Let the monsters have their world. We will prepare. And let the ground tremble with a new Armageddon as evil consumes itself. For I tell you, citizen, upon the day of the ruination of man, their insatiable appetites will turn them against one another in their endless lust for death. We will wait. And I tell you, citizen, that there will be a new morning, and you will emerge from London and stand blinking in the sun, as our children play and laugh in the bones of horrors long dead. And you will walk, hand hand in hand to the sea, our faces skywards, as the rising sun ushers in the new age of man. And you will gather, citizen, at my feet, as I summon on London from its rest. And it shall burst phoenix-like from the ashes of the old. And on that day, citizen, there shall be a new order, as we raise the Union flag over the entire world. I welcome you to London, the last city, and the first.
There are other audio recordings here. I will describe each one before I play it. The following message is relayed on the end of every hour.
The time is 9 o'clock. All is well.
Obviously, every hour wouldn't say 9 o'clock for any of you smartasses out there. That was just an example. This plays on approaching any bank or police station.
Citizen, you are entering a restricted area. Have your authorization papers ready. A body will arrive to escort you shortly.
Warning, a single case of SCP-1678-A will be summoned. On being cited by a case of SCP-1678-A, the following audio lines play.
Halt! Police! Drop your weapons. Come now. Let's be having you. Police, don't run.
Randomly, once per hour. The messages below are selected examples of the 1678 observed audio recordings.
No one is safe from the influence of mimetic beings. Have yourself assessed today. You could be possessed by a mimetic horror and not even know it. Psych assessments are free and easy. Visit a clinic today. Do you find light uncomfortable? Identifying a cortex worms infection early makes them possible to remove. Speak to your doctor today. Have you noticed anyone acting oddly? Tell a body immediately. Crime will not be tolerated in London, I warn you. The tormentors of society will become its defenders. Evil can walk in human form and human flesh. Stay vigilant. Are you frequently anxious or depressed? It could be a symptom of the pattern Screamer's influence. Notify a body immediately. Ensure you are well rehearsed in all breach protocols. There is no excuse for panic or confusion during drills. Can't make ends meet? Do not be ashamed. Bryson's Home for the Poor is here to help. I rule in the interests of the many, not the few. There are no special privileges. Swelling and abnormal growths are an early sign of the slaver man's possession. Report any abnormal sickness to your doctor immediately. Each and every one of you is responsible for the safety of London and its citizens. Be watchful.
Most explored buildings within SCP-1678 appear to have been outfitted for the purpose of extremely dense inhabitation, with closely grouped steel bunk beds, a common feature in any building suitable for the purpose. Foundation researchers have advised that most explored buildings within SCP-1678 are unfit for human habitation. Due to high performance of mold, damp, and poor construction within these buildings, some buildings are outfitted for other purposes, most notably the SCP-1678 version of the Natural History Museum, which is featuring an exhibit titled The Fall of Man, and contains representations of several known SCP entities, and images and artwork depicting apocalyptic settings. The key threat posed by SCP-1678 is by entities referred to in some SCP-1678 audio recordings as bobbies. Bobby is known to be a Victorian-era British slang term for policeman, henceforth referred to as SCP-1678-A. These entities are constructed out of human corpses, crudely dismembered at the head, wrists, knees, and elbows, and reassembled using industrial hinges and screws. The head is always wrapped in bandages. They are dressed in a uniform similar to Victorian-era police and are extremely hostile towards Foundation personnel, attacking them on sight with improvised weapons. These attacks are always preceded by SCP-1678-A emitting a noise similar to that of a policeman's whistle, and all loudspeakers within 100 meters emitting the audio recording, "Police, halt, criminal." Instances of SCP-1678-A are extremely resistant to damage, with only high-caliber rounds and explosive weapons proving sufficient to destroy them. They are believed to originate from a building named Bryson's Home for the Poor, as evidenced by an inmate-style jumpsuit worn under the uniform. To what extent they interact with other SCP-1678 entities is unknown. The following is SCP-1678-B overview. SCP-1678-B, Role Surveillance, also known as Eyes in the Sky. Cases of SCP-1678-B are biomechanical constructs which resemble that of a small avian life form. They are composed of central mass of a red organic matter, stitched together by a copper exoskeleton that resembles a spine and wing bones. The head has been demonstrated to be a small video camera, and remnants of feathers and plastic on the exterior suggests they were once intended to resemble a pigeon. Cases of SCP-1678-B are known to possess no offensive or destructive capabilities, yet their ability to track task force movements should not be underestimated. As it is currently known, if they are capable of communicating with or summoning cases of SCP-1678-A, cases of SCP-1678-B are relatively simple to contain or destroy, yet their large numbers makes their observation of Foundation activities extremely difficult to stop. Occasional posters throughout the Foundation explored area allude to their existence. These posters display an image of a small pigeon observing criminal activity beneath the title, "On London's Eyes in the Sky," alongside a small message to the effect that anyone destroying or vandalizing an eye in the sky faces up to 6 weeks in unit. And this is the SCP-1678-C overview. SCP-1678-C, Role Unknown, also known as Wretch. Cases of SCP-1678-C resemble a humanoid figure dressed in rags. They appear to be of old age and are usually, although not always, female. They have always been encountered outside the Foundation-held area. There have been very few direct encounters with SCP-1678-C entities, and it is currently unknown how many cases exist or to what level of threat they pose to Foundation security or safety. Encounters typically feature cases of SCP-1678-C sitting on a street corner with a begging dish, whereupon they will attempt to attract the pity or mercy of any Foundation personnel within their proximity with pleading or begging for food or money. Supplying a case of SCP-1678-C with food will cause them to begin weeping before dematerializing with a burst of dense black smoke. Foundation personnel are currently under instruction to not interact with them. They are briefly alluded to in a SCP-1678 audio recording. Do not pity the wretch. Allow them to pay the price of their betrayal for all eternity. Remember, citizen, on the day on London rises, I shall reward the loyal, but traitors shall be forever damned. And finally, this is SCP-1678-D overview. SCP-1678-D, Role Food Supply, also known as Dr. Goody's Wonder Food. SCP-1678-D is believed to be the primary food source on offer in the event that SCP-1678 receives full-scale occupation. SCP-1678-D is freely and easily available from steel vending machines installed in virtually every building or structure outfitted for the purpose of habitation. The vending machines are upright steel pumps, similar in size and shape to that of a modern petrol pump, containing a slot for the receiving of coins and a flexible rubber hose ending in a trigger-operated nozzle that will deploy half a liter of 1678D upon appropriate payment. All vending machines display the legend Dr. Goody's Wonder Food, alongside an image of a smiling child enjoying a bowl of SCP-1678D and text bubbles advising that 1678D costs just a farthing a bowl, that it contains all the nutrients you need, and completely restores health and vitality. It is proven to be extremely attractive to cases of SCP-1678B, C, an unknown species of colored mollusk, which has been observed feeding on any spillages. SCP-1678D is a synthetic starch gel, heavily enriched with various minerals, vitamins, fats, and bulking agents. In addition to this, it contains several unknown molecular structures and various engineered DNA helixes carried within synthetic cellular structures. It has the same consistency and taste as porridge. As advertised, it contains all the nutrients necessary for short-term survival. However, Foundation researchers have advised that over a period of more than 6 weeks, users of SCP-1678D will become dangerously underweight due to low levels of fat and protein within SCP-1678D, and are at a strong likelihood of contracting illnesses such as scurvy if survival is attempted by consuming SCP-1678D alone. SCP-1678D appears to be purposely engineered to manipulate the psyche of the regular consumers. Through a mixture of unknown molecular compounds, regular consumers are more obedient to authority, are less likely to commit acts of violence, and are less likely to engage in sexual intercourse, have a reduced capacity for fear or panic, and have consistently high morale. In addition, it also has engineered side effects, such as depressive symptoms and headaches if a subject suddenly abandons consuming SCP-1678D. Due to the difficulty of creating food within SCP-1678, SCP-1678D would serve as the primary food source in the event of a large-scale habitation. Foundation personnel are forbidden to consume SCP-1678D, even in small amounts. Not all vending machines produce SCP-1678D to the same quality, with some machines deploying corrupted forms that have induced severe mental or physical abnormalities, or death, within the consumer. It is currently unclear what entity, being, or intelligence is responsible for the creation and maintenance of SCP-1678. It is unclear as to what event or disaster SCP-1678 is being prepared for. Alright, chances are if you are assigned to this SCP, you'll be trying to find that out. This concludes my lecture for today. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye. I would like to give a special thank you to Andre Bashir. Thank you very much, Andre. Your pledge is very much appreciated. If you would like to know how you can get a personalized thank you at the end of each of my videos, as well as some other really cool stuff as well, go to patreon.com/thevulcan. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-1461. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Site-6 has been constructed around SCP-1461. Task Force Lambda 30, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, is on permanent assignment to reinforce Site-6 security. Any unusual activity from SCP-1461 is to be reported to on-site Level 4 supervisors, who will implement A47 Daybreak procedures at their discretion. See Site-6 Standard Procedures Guide. Any operatives entering SCP-1461 should be fitted with full NBC-A, nuclear, biological, chemical, anomalous, protection, and armed escorts. SCP-1461 is considered a high-priority target for the organization known as the Church of the Broken God, who have made attempts to breach Site-6 and access SCP-1461 since 19... Description: SCP-1461 is an English manor, circa 1890, with attached sub-levels. It came to the Foundation's attention on November 1941, when the dwelling and its sub-level facilities vanished, then rematerialized after an 11-day period of absence. The surface portion of SCP-1461 is a 2-level dwelling with 12 bedrooms, 4 baths, 3 studies, a main foyer, ballroom,